Now, today's speaker is Adam Metz, principal of Metz. Adam Metz is the principal at Metz, a San Francisco-based social web strategy firm that works exclusively with consumer lifestyle brands. Adam has recently completed the tourism social strategy for the city of San Francisco and has also contributed to the social web strategy for Sonoma County. Adam is the first consultant in the space to devise a holistic social web analytic model for clients, and his first book, There Is No Sauce, has sold or downloaded more than 2,000 copies. It's my honor to introduce Adam Metz.
So what we're looking at today is KPIs for success for destination marketing organizations on the social internet. So this is not just the internet, this is specifically the social parts of the internet. So before we get started, let's take a little trip down memory lane. So think of a time when you're like 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, you're hanging out with your mom or your dad or your grandma and your grandpa, you're watching TV, and the TV just shuts off. And you can remember your dad or your grandpa getting up or something and saying, "Oh, I gotta fix this thing again." And so he goes and gets the tools in the toolbox, and your parents, your grandparents tinkering around in the back of the TV, and they're asking you to be in front of the TV, checking, moving around the rabbit ears, turning the TV on and off. And so finally, after like an hour, you fix the darn thing. And so you sit back down on the couch, and you're sitting there clicking the remote over and over and over, and nothing is happening. And then your mother or your grandmother or someone walks in the room and says, "Hey, did you guys plug that thing back in?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, all right." So that's what we're basically focusing on today, is this thing on? Like, how do you know that this engagement, this social web stuff that you're doing is working? Because there's plenty of brands that will try to do some like social media campaign where they try and do something for 2 or 3 months, 4 months. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't drive results. It doesn't drive revenue. It drives a little bump in brand awareness, a little bump in brand equity, and then it just falls right away. I'm talking here about 12 to 24-month implementations. These are long, these are expensive, and they produce huge results. These things cost between $200,000 and about $1 million to do, and they really work. So I'm going to tell you how to tell whether you wasted $1 million or you spent it wisely. All right. So, and then the other thing is, you got to remember, how are we benchmarking? How are we measuring? You can take measurements every month if you want, but for the next 15, 20 minutes, all I'm talking about is benchmarking quarter over quarter. So basically, you only want to really do the big measurement every 3 months. I always benchmark quarter over quarter. That's the way to do it. All right. Without further ado. I call them Magnificent Seven. So you came here, you flew all the way across, the western half of the country to come to the town, to Oakland, California. So the Magnificent Seven is basically a 7-part index. And so this is how I would create it to tell whether your implementation is good, awesome, optimal, suboptimal. And so what you're going to need to actually create this index, you're going to need 3 people in the room. You're probably going to need your CIO, or a very senior IT person. You're probably going to need a statistics person, so maybe there's someone on your financial team that knows a lot about statistics. And you probably need a leading strategy guy. Let's stuff everything down just like that. Okay, this is all well and good, Nikki says, but the social media budget, an example, is larger than many total CDD budgets. What should smaller orgs do? Well, yeah, bake sale probably would not be an option here. So how do you do this on a real bootstrap budget, or what do? You've basically got to make tough choices. You have to decide which segment of the social web you want to approach. What I would do is find a vertical and kill it. Meaning, let's say, instead of doing run-of-network broad outreach, I would probably pick one segment and just attack. So let's say you are the wine country, you're Sonoma. You don't have a big budget, though. I'm not saying Sonoma doesn't have a big budget, but hypothetically. And they wanted to get one group to come out based on social web outreach. Let's say they would pursue mommy bloggers over the age of 40. So really segment and just approach one niche and own it, rather than going broad. So this way, you'll gain deep competency with one group, and chances are they'll probably evangelize you later, so it's a good kind of base. It's almost like climbing to a base camp on a mountain. You can always kind of outreach from there. but I would definitely say go narrow rather than broad. Because broad network outreach really consumes resources and it's very time intensive. I'd rather have you get to know just one group of people on the social web and really mean a lot to them. And just talk to also people in your community. Maybe go out to a few bed and breakfasts in your area and just say, hey, who are the people that you wouldn't have expected to love it here that tend to love it here? And they'll tell you, well, actually, we've noticed that people from Austria seem to think that our area is the coolest. Okay, great. So then do an Austrian social media strategy. That's awesome. And get people from Austria to come visit your city in Colorado, Utah. That's a good question. Feel free to raise your hands too. We still take questions the old way. That's like walking into a restaurant and being like, do you still take cash?